Robert Kennedy Jr. is officially on Team Trump. You may have heard this. The former independent candidate for president was, I think, widely understood to be a Republican spoiler, hoping to lure votes away from Democrats in November. All but confirmed that speculation when he suspended his campaign and endorsed Trump on Friday. Now, Trump has gone one step further and appointed RFK Jr. to his potential transition team. And while the former president has associated himself with a number of cranks over the years, I mean, the guy had like dinner with a literal neo-Nazi. Kennedy is his own special kind of problematic. And so if Trump is going to tie himself to a guy like that, he and his campaign really do deserve to inherit all the baggage that comes with him.
I was driving up maybe, really early, like 7, and that woman in a van in front of me hit a bear and killed it, a young bear. So I pulled over and I picked up the bear and put him in the back of my van because I was going to skin the bear, and it was very good condition, and I was going to put the meat in my refrigerator. I had to go to the airport, and the bear was in my car, and I didn't want to leave the bear in the car. I had an old bike in my car that somebody had asked me to get rid of it. I said, let's go put the bear in Central Park, and we'll make it look like he got hit by a bike.
Kennedy shared that video himself. By the way, note the Roseanne watching this story face, which is amazing. But he wanted the world to see him telling Roseanne Barr about how he was going to stage a hit-and-run bike versus bear accident in Central Park. The bear story has got nothing on the whale story. Just this week, a decade-old profile of RFK's daughter, Kik, resurfaced, where she recounts an incident from her childhood. RFK got word there was a dead whale washed up on Hyannisport Beach, and so naturally he raced over there with a plot to take a souvenir, and Kennedy cut the dead whale's head off with a chainsaw, and then he took the decapitated whale head and he bungee corded it to the roof of the family minivan and drove 5 hours back to New York with his family in the car. As his daughter remembers it, and I'm going to try to get through this passage, every time he accelerated on the highway, whale juice would pour into the windows of the car. It was the rankest thing on the planet. We all had plastic bags over our heads with mouth holes cut out. People on the highway were giving us the finger, but that was just normal day-to-day stuff for us. That's just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to Kennedy and dead animals. There's also this really strange picture with a barbecued animal carcass, which Kennedy claims was a goat or a lamb. Really, who's to say? Vanity Fair reports he sent the picture to a friend implying it was a dog, which is weird. I think it's fair to say that's weird. That's a weird picture. We could say weird, right? Then, of course, there was the admission from Kennedy that he had a literal brainworm. According to a deposition, he said that an abnormality in his brain scan was caused by a worm that got into my brain and ate a portion of it and then died. And I have to say, given what it seems like he's been eating, I'm not that surprised. But far, far more seriously, Robert Kennedy has promoted consistently false, dangerous, and deranged conspiracy theories. He is probably one of the most prominent anti-vaccine activists in the world. And it was he and his ilk, but really him, almost chief among everyone, who helped spread deadly lies about vaccination that ultimately cost the lives. And this is not hyperbole, literally hundreds of thousands of our fellow Americans during COVID. Hundreds of thousands of people died who didn't need to because they had been told lies about vaccines. Here's the thing, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is still on the ballot in some states. And so, yeah, he's with Trump, but
if you live in a blue state, you can vote for me without harming or helping President Trump or Vice President Harris. In red states, the same will apply. I encourage you to vote for me. And if enough of you do vote for me, and neither of the major party candidates win 270 votes, which is quite possible, in fact, today our polling shows them tying at 269 to 269, and I could conceivably still end up in the White House in a contingent election.
Would he be the president or the brainworm? Interesting question. That was at his press conference to endorse Trump. I endorse Trump. Vote for me still. So this is who's been added to the already very weird campaign of Donald Trump. And hey, maybe it's a strategy to make J.D. Vance seem almost normal by comparison, except that guy keeps producing new weirdness himself.